I had this, thought, and stay with me on this one here. Howie Roseman's the most important person in Philadelphia. Obviously, this is a sports show. Hi, by the way. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show, presented by MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. The most in the Philadelphia sports world, Howie Roseman is the most important. He's the MVP, most valuable person, I guess. It is amazing how this guy goes into the offseason, has a plan, sticks to the plan, helps essentially oversee a culture in the locker room that makes these guys want to come here to Philadelphia and want to stay here in Philadelphia. And ultimately, it's not about high school Harry coaches, high school Harry speeches, or rah this, rah that, brotherhood, whatever. It's about winning. Players feel like they could win here. And he goes out. He essentially rescues Saquon Barkley from the Giants, brings him here to Philadelphia and says, I have a nice offensive line for you where you'll do great. 2,000 yards, Super Bowl championship. Zack Baun. Now, this with Howie Roseman, this is interesting. This goes more to Vic Fangio. But Howie Roseman sees Zack Baun on film and thinks special teams menace, edge rusher, outside linebacker. He could be great here in Philadelphia in that role, that small, tiny little role. And Vic Fangio says, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe Zack Baun, and you'll hear the quote again. You'll love it. Maybe Zack Baun is an inside linebacker. Let's see what he can do on the inside for us. Zack Baun signs here in a 1-year, $3.5 million deal. Zack Baun yesterday just signed a 3-year, $51.5 million contract with checks notes, $34 million guaranteed. It is a phenomenal story. And Zack Baun has been such a ridiculously easy guy to root for because, yes, of how he plays on the field, but all of this, he has walked through it with the utmost respect for the game, his teammates, the city, and almost in this bewilderment that he is in this spot right now. We're going to go over Zack Baun's numbers throughout his career just to really drive home the point of started from the bottom, now he's here. It's amazing. We'll get into that, and then we'll also get into what Vic Fangio had to say about him when Howie Roseman brought him the tape, because it's just an amazing story. We'll also hear from Zack Baun, because it's one of my favorite things of this entire year. Zack Baun signs a deal with the Eagles, and he's going through the contract and into the little section there where it says Pro Bowl incentives. Section of the contract, Pro Bowl incentives. And he laughs. And you know what? It is laughable to think of him only as a Pro Bowler this past year when he's an All-Pro. Oh, and up for Defensive Player of the Year. Oh, and calling his own shot like he's Babe Ruth, sitting there on the sidelines of the Super Bowl, be like, I'm going to get mine. Bang, interception. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. We'll get into the Zack Baun thing tenfold today. The magic and wizardry of Howie Roseman. I have been, I don't know if you call it negative, but I've definitely been a naysayer over the last couple of days of people talking about a reunion with Darius Slay. Well, Slay goes on a little podcast yesterday, and Slay says that he would come back, that he would come back to Philadelphia. Now, this should be filed under, well, duh. However, it's not that simple. The fact that he talked about not being here during the course of the season, saying, I want to play one more year. I know it's not going to be here in Philadelphia. Okay, that means he top dollar. He's not going to take bottom dollar. He's going to take top dollar for what could be his last year in the NFL, and Howie ain't going to give him top dollar. But now, shame on me for thinking that Howie couldn't drum that up. I still don't think it's happening. If I'm betting, I'm not betting that Darius Slay is coming back to Philly. However, and one of the things that really seals that deal is that Mrs. Slay, Jennifer Slay, I believe, she put it out there, real tears. Real tears. So she kind of understands. She put it out there on social media, posted saying real tears that that Slay got. I wonder if she calls him Slay. Slay got cut by the Eagles, released, right? Well, Darius Slay put it out there yesterday saying that he wouldn't rule out a return. Does that mean that they already started kicking the tires around the league And it's like, oh, no, he's not going to get money. He's not going to get paid. Everyone sees him as a corner that's breaking down and a guy that won't give you a full season and he's not going to get good money, whatever. And maybe he stays in Philadelphia. I'll put it this way. Yesterday, I was at 70%. He's not coming back. Right now, I'm going to put it at 55%. He's not coming back. Just the fact that Darius Slay would say, I would come back to Philadelphia. I would do that. Does that mean he looked around and went, oh, there's not a lot of money out there for me right now? Yeah, maybe I will. Just to win, to stay here, to win? Yeah, maybe I'll stick around for that. Because fortunately, winning's very important. And as I was saying about culture just a second ago, that's really the best way to keep that culture and keep that locker room together is people believe that you want to win. And all sorts of players were running through my mind yesterday. And the one play that really jumped out there was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, because Chauncey Gardner-Johnson left here after a great year in Philadelphia that saw him get 6 interceptions, tied for the league lead. He missed the last 5 games, comes back, helps the team get to a Super Bowl. And in that Super Bowl, by the way, 2 players that I really paid attention to in terms of just how well they performed. Jalen Hurts, obviously, against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl they lost. And Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was the one guy on defense that was playing as well in the first minute of the first quarter as he was in the last minute of the fourth quarter. Like, that guy just brought the wood, and nobody else had any wood. Nobody. So that really jumped out to me. He leaves, goes to Detroit, has a great year in Detroit, and then bing, bang, boom, he's back in Philadelphia. And when he was here in Philadelphia, he cried. He was so happy he was here in Philadelphia. He's on the sidelines of the NFC Championship game crying on his coach's shoulder. And he's telling everyone that all the while, oh, I was elsewhere. It ain't like here. It ain't like Philly. That's the culture. That's what makes guys want to come here. And the fact that you reward a guy like Saquon Barkley, the fact that you reward a guy like Zack Baun and make him just like that, one of the highest paid linebackers in football. And not only do you reward him, you brought him along. You had faith in him. Like I said, we'll get to the numbers. Also, yesterday's story from our good friend Derek Gunn. Oh, my goodness gracious. So Brandon Graham re-aggravated his torn triceps in the Super Bowl. So now that's Nolan Smith, who played a whole second half. That's Brandon Graham that probably wasn't ready to play, but just wanted to let it all out. Also, coming away with torn triceps. Again, second time for him in 2.5, 3 months? That's insane. These guys obviously want to play for themselves, but what takes it to the next level is that they want to play for their teammates, and what takes it to the ultimate level is that they want to play for the city. They want to play for the fan base. And guys like Brandon Graham that had experienced a Super Bowl parade before, oh, man. How is that not a motivating factor? Hold on. We go out there. We win this. I go out there. I help win this. And we get to have a huge party for the whole city. We get to have our, in essence, Roman triumph through the streets of Philadelphia. All right. Let's do it. Absolutely incredible. And these guys, the fact that they want to play for each other, I've referenced it many times. I didn't think I'd reference anything Kenny Pickett said throughout the season when the Eagles signed him. But Kenny Pickett talked about how this is like a college atmosphere. Like everyone just really pulls for each other. It really is insane. And it all starts. Look, Jeffrey Lurie signs the checks, but Howie Roseman's the one making the decisions, as we know. Does he at times have influence from Jeffrey Lurie? Yeah, well, it's worked out recently where 2 Super Bowls, 3 appearances. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. But Howie's the guy finding out how to manipulate the cap in the most possible. What's allowed in the rules, and then what rules can be bent a little bit. It's insane. And I have been saying throughout the entire process where we've been evaluating what was going to happen with Zack Baun, there is no way in hell that Zack Baun, the Eagles bring him here, bring him along, watch him get to this level, and then let him go. I mean, we've talked about guys like TJ Edwards in the past. We've talked about guys like Alex Singleton in the past. Guys that did well. I mean, Alex Singleton did okay. Then TJ Edwards took it up a notch. And then Zack Baun comes in here. Like, did we forget about this? Zack Baun was competing with Devin White. What? Huh? Yeah. Devin White and Nakobe Dean and Zack Baun competing. And then Devin White's released It goes to the Texans. Let's not forget where it all started. And it just in terms of it here in Philadelphia, not even including his years in New Orleans, which we will go back and look on. So coming up in a minute, we'll let you hear from Zack Baun. Coming up, we'll let you hear from Vic Fangio, just some cuts throughout the year that really stuck out to me about how we got to this point, how Howie got to this point with the Philadelphia Eagles. Hey, the 76ers play tonight. They play in Boston. Did you happen to see what the Boston Celtics did last night? Let's just say that if you're like me and you want to see the Sixers lose out and rest Tyrese Maxey and rest Paul George and all that, by the way, Maxey will be off tonight, so he's not playing against the Celtics. The Celtics made history last night. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Goodness gracious. Oh, and down in Clearwater, Florida, Luzardo got shelled. His final line on the night, on the afternoon, 2 innings pitched. Gross. 2 innings pitched, 6 runs, 6 of them earned, 6 hits, a walk, 2 strikeouts, 3 home runs consecutively. Back to back to back home runs. The first one was a grand slam. Good times. And I didn't see the game. It was on ESPN, but I didn't watch it yesterday. I could be wrong. 3 consecutive pitches. I could be wrong on that. I probably am wrong on that. Anytime I think I could be wrong, I probably am. Anyway, not great for Jesus Luzardo. Ruined my Ash Wednesday. What can I say? Let's get into it, folks. And, of course, we'll get into our conversation regarding Zack Baun. Let's get into it right now because, goodness gracious, how could you not be happier for this guy? Let's start it off right here. Just look at the numbers from his time with the New Orleans Saints. Look at all those numbers, right? So total tackles, 30. He was more than halfway to that after game 1 against Green Bay in Brazil. So last year, 30 tackles. 30. This is defensive. This is not including special teams. Defensive tackles, 30 tackles. All right, 20 tackles solo. This year, 93 solo tackles, 151 total tackles. Forced fumbles, 5. He has 5 in his career. All 5 came here with the Philadelphia Eagles. That's starting at the bottom. Now he's here. How about this? How about the percentages? I even highlighted it in green for you guys. Check this out. Look at it. 27% of the defensive snaps with New Orleans 2 years ago. 95% of the defensive snaps with the Eagles. Special teamer, 83% of the special team snaps last year or 2 years ago now. 81% the previous year with New Orleans. Only 15% of the special team snaps. That's more than a flip with those numbers. That's how few and far between it was with him playing defense for the New Orleans Saints. And somehow, some way, Vic Fangio looked at it and went, yeah, no, this guy's a lot better than what they're giving him. This guy is better than what the Saints are putting on his plate. So Vic Fangio, this cut is from, I want to say early November, where he was asked about what he saw in Zack Baun.
I don't know. It's when I evaluate players, there's no checkbox, things you check off. You just watch the tape, watch the movement patterns, watch the player play. And, Howie brought him up to me first, but he had a vision for him as a backup outside linebacker, special teams demon. And after I watched it, I said, no, I think he's an inside linebacker. And luckily it hit.
When I was going over the cuts this morning and I was looking for that specific one, I totally forgot about the end of that cut where he's like, luckily it hit. Yeah. All-Pro Defensive Player of the Year. Competing with Devin White. Is this going to work out? I remember after the first game in Green Bay, I was like, wow, I really feel good about where the Eagles are in their linebacker spot. Like, I actually feel like, well, the Zack Baun looks like he's pretty damn good. And the fact that he had been, I guess, featured a little bit more than I would expect for a backup linebacker, quote unquote, backup linebacker at training camp. I'm like, oh, maybe there is something here. All right. They're talking a lot. All right. And then he goes out there in Green Bay and he plays like a maniac. And Vic Fangio, luckily it hit. Yeah, it hit. It hit pretty damn good. Interception in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I'd say it worked pretty damn good. 5 forced fumbles. Yeah, I'd say it worked pretty damn good. And how about this? This is another thing that we don't talk about enough with Zack Baun. When Nakobe Dean went down, the green dot went to Zack Baun, and there was no difference. There was no, communication problem. There was no issue with him calling the signals. Just without a hitch. No, there was no issue there. Nothing was above him. All the challenges that were laid before him over the last 2 seasons, he conquered. It was just an incredible story to follow with Zack Baun. This references him laughing at the Pro Bowl, the Pro Bowl clause in his contract, and this is one of my favorite things from the year on Zack Baun.
Yeah, I did. Obviously, a huge honor, something that you think about, and honestly, something that was in my contract when I signed here, and I just kind of laughed at the fact that incentive was in my contract because I didn't think that was necessarily a goal of mine. Obviously, it's a goal of mine, but I didn't think I could reach it at this point in my career. But to be able to be voted by fans, players around the league, and coaches, it really means a lot to me and a lot to the guys on this defense. It just shows that what this defense is and the type of guys we have.
I mean, I'm not a Pro Bowler. I only played 27% of the defensive snaps, 10% of the snaps the year before that. I'm not a Pro Bowler. Bang. Comes to Philadelphia, Vic Fangio, little pixie dust. Bang, you're a linebacker. You're an all-pro linebacker. It's hard to find stories like this. I'll go back. I remember talking to Bernie Perrant years ago about the Flyers drafting him. And then he goes away to Boston, and then he comes back, and he's amazing. It's really hard to find, I don't know if you call them redemption stories. I mean, even Howie Roseman. Hey, go to the broom closet. Come out, and now all of a sudden you got 3 Super Bowl appearances and 2 Super Bowl rings, 2 parades in Philly. Oh, this is pretty damn good. You think about redemption stories like that. Zack Baun's got to be Zack Baun has to be one of the best in Philadelphia sports history. It's really, it's hard to think of anybody else that already played a significant amount. 4 years is a significant amount. And then all of a sudden you're able to cash in metaphorically and literally in 1 year somewhere else. Pretty incredible. So now what's next? You went and you signed Saquon Barkley, made him the highest paid running back ever. You went and re-signed Zack Baun. The Barkley thing wasn't even on the list. But he created cap space with it for the upcoming season. He goes and he signs Zack Baun. Darius Slay gets released. James Bradbury gets released. What's next? Milton Williams? Mekhi Becton? Josh Sweat? What's next? If I had to guess what the next move was going to be, it would be going after Mekhi Becton to keep him here in Philadelphia. What I would want is for Milton Williams to be next on Howie's list. If you were sitting next to Howie Roseman, what's the next move as far as in-house and keeping guys in-house? Is it re-signing Mekhi Becton, or is it keeping Milton Williams here in Philadelphia? Now, Mekhi Becton played at an amazing level. He was extremely versatile and open-minded to go from tackle to guard and played at an extremely high level, throwing bodies around at that spot at right guard. Or is it Milton Williams? Milton Williams, who also had a great Super Bowl, had a great season in general, played more snaps, more of a percentage of snaps than Jordan Davis at the defensive tackle position, has more versatility in terms of playing on the outside, also a homegrown product here. Who, if you had to make the decision for Howie Roseman, would you go after next? Because at some point, that money's going to dry up. And we have to reiterate what Howie told us at the Combine. which was that you got to take away from other places to make sure that the places or the people that really help take you to the dance stay around. It can't just be spending money like the old phrase, like a drunken sailor. It can't be, to use this old phrase, it can't be stupid money. You got to be somewhat responsible about it. So where are you taking from? I've said all along, even going into the offseason, Mekhi Becton, great player, respect him, but I have this overwhelming sense of security that whoever's going to be at the right guard spot that Meets talks to is coached by Jeff Stoutland. They're going to fill in at the right guard spot, and you ain't going to miss a beat. I look at it with Milton Williams, and I say, you have a player on this defensive line that is really going to help exploit all the openings that are created from double teams on Jalen Carter. And Jordan Davis, with his strength, also taking up double teams, frees up things for other people. But Milton Williams has been a guy to capitalize on it. And I'd love to see him stay here in Philadelphia. So if I'm sitting next to Howie Roseman and he looks over at me and says, oh, what do you think? Or Howie Roseman's sitting next to you and he looks at you and he says, what do you think? Do you tell him, oh, you got to get Becton. You got to find, all right, now next up is Mekhi Becton to keep him on that line. Or do you tell him, no, next up is Milton Williams. You got to keep Milton Williams in here. What's the next move? As far as the rest of the NFL, Joey Bosa, he became available. He gets released by the Chargers. Do you want Howie to go after him? If you're talking about bringing in outside guys, is he going to be one of the top guys on your list to bring in here to Philadelphia? If you're not going to get Myles Garrett, do you go out and do you sign Joey Bosa? What's the next move you're bringing for Howie? Because I think Howie is absolutely going to kick the tires. And this is a phrase we talked about yesterday with our friend Jeff Kerr. He's absolutely going to kick the tires on anybody that's available. Myles Garrett, and I think he's absolutely going to kick the tires on Joey Bosa. Nick Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, Vic Fangio, Big Dom, Joey Bosa. Kind of fits. Bosa. It actually is. Yeah. Check his grandfather's history. Yee! Anyway. So who are you telling Howie Roseman to go after next? That's what I'm thinking about here. Overall, with Darius Slay and the idea that he could come back to Philadelphia. Again, I'm still on the 55% that he is not coming back to Philadelphia. I think he's not acknowledging it midway through, towards the end of the season, that he's most likely not back here. But I do find it very interesting that he left that door open. It's no longer the signed, sealed, delivered. I know I'm not going to get paid here, so I could go elsewhere. I know we're already starting to talk about in-house candidates and internal candidates to replace him on the outside spot. I thought Jeff Kerr had a really interesting take on it, saying that he thinks Cooper DeJean in a base 4-3, base defense, would be playing on the outside. But when they go into nickel, which is still pretty significant amount of time, Cooper DeJean goes back to the nickel spot. That's an interesting compromise because I think it tests him on the outside, where, by the way, where he played most of his college career on the outside. I think it's a good compromise to kind of get his feet wet at the NFL level on that spot, assuming Darius Slay is not here, and also keeps him at a spot that he absolutely flourished in last year. And let's not forget that him going into the nickel after the bye week really did change the tide of this team's defense. Tackling issues went away. You were 2-2 at that bye week. You just got your doors blown off by the Buccaneers. That was the last game you played without Cooper DeJean as your nickel corner. And then after that, he takes off and he is taken off and running. Just at extremely high level. I thought Jeff Kerr's thought of having Cooper DeJean play on the outside and base defense, but then go back to the nickel when they're in nickel, which is the majority of the time anyway, would be a good test for the young nickel / outside maybe corner. One other thing. I'm sorry. I forgot this about Jeff Kerr from my conversation with him yesterday, and it goes back to Zack Baun, who's the story of the day, of course. But one thing Jeff said that I actually do disagree with is the idea that Zack Baun could have gone anywhere else and had success. I absolutely think he could have gone elsewhere and had success. Not the success that he'd have here in Philadelphia, of course, being that you're just coming off a Super Bowl, being that you're just coming off the individual accolades you just achieved this year. But one thing that the Eagles did this year with Vic Fangio, and Vic kind of talked about it there in the cut, is the Eagles cracked the code. I don't know what the New Orleans Saints were thinking, but Howie was asked about it at the Combine, and he even, being a gracious man, said, I don't want to, kind of throw another organization under the bus. I can't speak for them about why it didn't work in New Orleans, but for us, this is why it worked with Zack Baun. I don't think Howie can put his finger on it. I sure as hell don't think Vic Fangio could put his finger on it, because he looked at it, a 20-minute tape, and went, no, this guy works. This guy could anchor my defense. Special teams, nah. Off ball, nah. Inside, yeah. Edge rusher, no. Just like that. And to use Vic's words again, luckily it hit. Yeah, it hit. It hit pretty good. So I obviously think there are other suitors out there who would love to get Zack Baun if he really would have been able to go out there and test the market. But Howie Roseman wisely said, yeah, no, to hell with that. Let's take care of this as fast as possible. Created a little cap space, $7 million of cap space with Saquon Barkley, and signed Zack Baun. So who's next? I'll ask you that. Let me know in the chat who you'd like to see the Eagles go after next. Keep in-house or outside. Darius Slay I talked about. Oh, goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. By the way, in thinking about training camp to now, I did laugh twice, maybe even 3 times, at just the idea of Devin White being here in Philadelphia and not seeing the field. And that was a conversation point, a big conversation point in training camp. And it ends with a 3-year, $51 million deal with $34 million guaranteed to Zack Baun. Wow. All right, so who's next? When it comes to this Eagles offense, I want to revisit the conversation about A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts that we got into a little bit yesterday. And I know the reports out of New England saying that Mike Vrabel wants a reunion with his former Tennessee Titans wide receiver, A.J. Brown. File me under ain't going to happen. Now, I know that there's national conversation out there, and Colin Cowherd started stirring the pot when it came to, you got to get rid of move on from A.J. Brown. He's too chatty. I think that was the word Cowherd used, too chatty. Here's what gives me great comfort in the idea that the Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown relationship is not going to boil into anything. And believe me, there's going to be a lot of bad takes out there, man. There's going to be a lot of bad takes out there because it's so, oh my God, if you could stir up stuff between a quarterback and a wide receiver, oh my God, how much fun is that? Like, if you're not having a quarterback controversy, a wide receiver quarterback controversy is the very next thing. Oh, juicy, meat and potatoes. People want to stir that up into a fine stew. After this season, and it's not just because of the Super Bowl, although that's got a lot to do with it. After this season, if anyone's trying to sell you that, just laugh. Just laugh it off. Because what gives me so much comfort that this is not going to boil over into anything that's going to demand a divorce between the two is that throughout the year, players in that locker room have been extremely honest. And as I've said, the only thing that really bothered me about A.J. Brown as far as things he said in the media this year was when he just called out the passing game. And you know exactly where everyone was going to take that. And it was after the Panthers game, and, hey, what does this offense need to work on? Passing. Okay. Jalen Hurts had already said it. Devontae Smith had said it. Jordan Mailata talked about from an offensive line perspective in their pass blocking situations, they need to know what the hell they're doing. He said that week after the Panthers game, they didn't know what they were doing as an offensive line. That's bad. It wasn't all on Jalen. But I wish that A.J. Brown, in that only instance, would have taken his own advice of 2 years ago where he just didn't talk. He had nothing nice to say, so don't say anything. But even with that, this locker room has the tough conversations. And whatever walk of life you're in, whatever business you're in, whatever you do for work, if you have to work with other people on your team, on your staff, and you can't have real conversations about how this person needs to do this more, how that person needs to do that less, how you yourself need to do something different. If you can't have those open conversations free of offending somebody or hurting somebody's feelings, then you're ultimately not going to get to the promised land. And Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, Jordan Mailata, the coaching staff, everyone on this team, everyone on the offense specifically, they were ready to have those conversations. They didn't talk behind each other's backs in whispers, and then things leak out to the media, and then everything blows up. No, even when BG may have overstepped a little bit, both guys were like, no, we're cool. They didn't use that as, well, yeah, this happened with this guy, and then this happened with this guy, and then he said this. No, it was just, yeah, but we have those tough conversations already, and we go out there and we ball. That's why I thought it was so unbelievably significant on the sidelines of the Super Bowl just before the Eagles won. A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts are exchanging mutual respect for one another. Right after a quarterback controversy, people that talking to microphones a lot of times, they went, oh, man, anything that could pull the wide receiver quarterback controversy, anything that could invoke a T.O. Donovan controversy. Oh, baby. But I got to keep it real. And I don't see that being a problem. So when stories come out about A.J. Brown being traded, the Patriots being all in on getting A.J. Brown, Mike Vrabel wanting that reunion, not going to happen. They're going to keep it right here. AJ just got paid. Smitty just got paid. By the way, another thing is Smitty signs before Justin Jefferson. They allow the Vikings last year to set the market, and Smitty's like, yeah, I'm cool. Like, that's another thing that goes into the culture of this team. I could talk about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, as I did coming here, going to the Lions, coming back and be like, oh my God, I missed it so much here. And then Devontae Smith be like, no, I'm good. I want to win and I want to get paid, and both those things are going to happen here. It really is amazing what the Philadelphia Eagles are now. And I'm seeing moves like Thuney goes to Chicago from the Chiefs. You're seeing these moves around the NFL already. And I look at the Cowboys just freeing up a lot of cap space for themselves. All right, fine. I look at this and all these moves that are being made. DK Metcalf wants out of Seattle. Remember the J.J. Arcega-Whites? I mean, I'm trying to think of the yeah, it was before. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, DK Metcalf walked so Jalen Reagor and Justin Jefferson could run. Like that was the precursor to another bad Howie decision at the draft, but things have changed since then. But I look at around the league and I look at all these teams trying to improve, and it's amazing. I didn't feel like this after the Eagles' first Super Bowl win, but I certainly feel like this now. The Philadelphia Eagles look at the rest of the league, and I can say this as someone who's not playing or in the front office. Rest of the league's got a lot of catching up to do. So whoever is trying to form some kind of super team, whoever's trying to, bring in DK Metcalf, whatever. If the Cowboys sign DK Metcalf, whatever, I look at it, the Cowboys bring in Joey Bosa, whoever. I look at it and be like, yeah, keep going. I know that's extremely arrogant and wildly overconfident. But is it? Or is it totally appropriate? About a week after the Super Bowl, Fox 29, we did a bald segment. Me and Eitan Shander went on Fox 29, and Alex Holley had a problem with people hating on the Eagles, and fine. But I can't hear the haters over the parade noise. It's crazy how that works. But she was pointing out to me things people have been saying on social media about the Eagles, and one of the rips of the Eagles was, well, you guys were a super team. Like, that's not I was like, they were saying it in a negative light, whoever this was on social media, I don't remember. And Alex was like, what do you think about that? I go, thank you for the compliment. Like, yes. And I told you guys going into the Super Bowl, and if I don't have many regrettable takes because I believed every one of them, but when I come to the Eagles and Chiefs for the Super Bowl, I told you guys every time I walked through it, and I was saying this in the green room to Gunner and Ray Dinger, Gunnar had said, I come through this game, and I walk through the game, and every time I walk through it, I come out with a different outcome, but it's close. And I said, I got to be honest with you. Every time I walk through this game, I got to talk myself out of it not being a blowout in favor of the Eagles. And ultimately, if you were just to take both teams and forget about history and just say Team A, Team B, who wins? I'm like, oh, if the Eagles are Team B wins in a blowout. But it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Andy Reid, it's Steve Spagnuolo. It's a lot. I should have just ignored history and said that the Eagles are going to eat. And boy, did they. So when I look at it, you win in a Super Bowl blowout, it's not far-fetched to think like, yeah, the rest of the league's got a lot of catching up to do with your super team. And super teams running it back, it looks like. Especially with Zack Baun, Saquon Barkley. Now it's a little bit more work to be done. Do we get another Shefty update regarding Howie today? Fingers crossed that we do. Fingers crossed that we do. Hey, I mentioned the Sixers. The 76ers tonight in front of a national audience on TNT. They're going to be playing the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics, unlike the Sixers, are really good at basketball. And last night, they torched the Trailblazers, who have a little East Coast trip going on here. Peyton Pritchard and Derek White. First teammates in NBA history with first career 40-point games in the same game. White and Pritchard dropped in 40 last night for the Celtics. First duo in Celtics history with 40-point games in the same game. Okay. 19 combined 3-point field goals made, most by a duo in NBA history. That's what went down with the Celtics last night in Boston, where the Sixers are now traveling. Well, they're there already to Boston. That's what's going down tonight. 7:30 tip-off. Yeah, 7:30 tip-off. That's the way that's going tonight. So I say that to simply say this. Charlotte lost last night. Damn it. Utah lost last night. Damn it. These teams in the running for the worst 5 records in basketball. Celtics final score was 128-118. They won. Pritchard had a game high. What did he end up with? This is off the bench, keep in mind. 43 points in 43 minutes, 10 threes made. Derek White, 41 points in 39 minutes, 9 threes made. Yeah, it's a good night. Anyway, good luck, Sixers. Good luck, Sixers. That'll be fun. Before I get to the chat check, let me tell you about the incredible people at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Has my name been up there the whole time? Hold on a minute. I'm that much in love with myself. Get rid of that. There you go. Let me tell you about MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Download the app, create an account, use promo code Farzy. Get $20 off your first purchase on the Game Time app. Want to go to the game, the concert, comedy show, Game Time app has you covered. All of it. Game Time app. So take advantage. Game Time app. How about PHL Sports Nation? Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. How about Sky Motorcars? Check out Brett's amazing inventory at SkyMotorcars.com. Let's get into the chat check, ladies and gentlemen. See how you beautiful people are doing on this fine Thursday morning. Wine Niners Wine. Bond's back, baby. Sean Kilray, good morning. Bond's Project First Team, All-Pro, Super Bowl champ, 151 tackles, forced fumbles, playoff run, wild card. Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good, Sean. Thank you. Danny D, good morning all. Good morning to you. Jason, good morning. Baun being back is so huge. There were doubters, Jason. There were doubters saying that Zack Baun wouldn't be coming back to Philadelphia. But what did I tell you the entire time? Zack Baun come back to Philadelphia. And Zack Baun stays in Philadelphia. Are we replacing Jake Elliott? I don't think so. It's pretty money in the Super Bowl. Jason, I also love the Barkley extension. It is incredible. Josh B, yeah, I think Slay will get a bag somewhere else. Like, I see, okay, so the bag. Let's talk about the bag, for instance. About a 34-year-old defensive back. When is his? Does he turn 35 or did he just turn 35? He just turned 30 or just turned 34. So you're a team that makes the playoffs next year. I mean, hell, the end of next year, he'll be 35 years old. The bag. I don't know what a bag is for Darius Slay right now. Is it 10 million? Is it 8 million for a 1-year deal? If we're talking 5.5 million, 6.5 million for Darius Slay to stay here, okay, I could see it. I'm sorry, if that's the Eagles' offer, then I could absolutely see him leaving. Okay, I think he would get more elsewhere. And that's one of the reasons I've been so confident in him going elsewhere. But him yesterday saying, or at least it getting released yesterday, that he said that he would keep the door open for a return to Philadelphia. The first thought I have is, well, duh. But the second is, wait a minute. He was pretty decisive on the idea that he wouldn't get a contract here in Philadelphia that would be even worth raising his eyebrows over. So did they already kick the tires around the league, which I'm sure they did, and find out, maybe there's not that much money? If it's a difference of $1 million or $2 million, I think he's staying here in Philadelphia, which is just insane to say, but then I think he stays here. But if he can get that $10 million somewhere else, then yeah, I think he's going to get that somewhere else, and he leaves. Sean Kilroy, you've been all over Hunter Renfrow. Saw this Hunter Renfrow working in the recycling business in South Carolina. The company announced Renfrow is still only 29 years old and a Pro Bowler in 2021. Hey, keep kicking the tires. April, that Phillies game was rough. Did you get to watch that on ESPN yesterday, April? I know that MLB ticket sometimes isn't so great. Tate Jeffries, still one of the greatest commercials ever. Someone told Lizardo chicks dig the long ball, but didn't explain how. Sean Gillespie, what's going on? So glad they have Baun also. The Fangio effect is amazing. Bob, what's up, Bob? Vic took a chance on Baun, and boy, did he pay off. But on the flip side, we all realize that Baun isn't going to put up those kind of numbers again. That was his career year. Calm down. He's still good. What are you saying? How do you know this isn't just the tip of the iceberg? How do you know that, this is my new role and this is my first year in it? Maybe he gets better next year. Maybe he is a defensive player of the year. I will not calm down. This is me calm. Anyway. Dirty D. Didn't we get a lot more turnovers after Dean went down? Maybe. Good morning. Good morning, A Bite of Life. Bob, great story. Smart. He stayed in the system. Will be able to play at a high level. Okay. Thought Milton is supposed to be going to New England. Possible. Bite of Life. But Bosa is a no for me. Bosa's always hurt. Yes. Son Reddick. The reunion. Roland. F. Bosa. He's soft and poos all over Philly. I'd rather bring Barnett back instead of Bosa. A reunion in that regard. I would love to see a Son Reddick back here in Philadelphia. Big Rhythm, what's going on? Farzy, I look at Becton and as Lane's future replacement if they lock him up. As far as Bosa, dude is soft and already proven he can't handle this fan base. True. Jimmy Centaur? Hell of a name. I'm very cool with re-signing Isaiah Rodgers and keeping Coop at nickel for another year. I'm with you in that. That's the other thing people forget. You got to re-sign Isaiah Rodgers. I think Keely Ringo's still in a contract. Isaiah Rodgers is the one you got to re-sign. Eagles offensive stars on the contract. Did Jalen Hurts, Jordan Mailata, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith? It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Super team. Sean Kilrain. Howie Roseman is unstoppable. The Eagles nest. Honestly, Cooper Jean is so good. The idea to put him on the outside in base defense and move him inside nickel defense would work, especially if we need this draft and the next to add defensive backs. Okay, fair enough. Skarkle, good morning. Good morning to you. I would sign Becton. I like Sweat and Williams, but not all that money. They played better in the Super Bowl than in the regular season. I agree with you on Sweat. I thought Milton Williams was pretty great throughout the year. Crappy Kansas City line. Kudos to them both. Absolutely. Big Rhythm could never question Vic ever again. With wishful thinking with the New England media. April, where do you think Metcalf will end up? I wouldn't be shocked if Metcalf ended up in New England. I do look, them being interested in wanting A.J. Brown is, obviously something, but it just tells you that they really want a wide receiver. I could see him going to New England. Do you think we should go after Bosa or Khalil Mack? I'd rather go after Khalil Mack. See, that's funny. I don't know. Josh B. Williams is way too much money to make sense, in my own opinion. I'll be shocked if Howie signs him. Would anything shock you? Bob's taking a look at JJ Arcega-Whiteside. Thank you, Mr. Lord. Yeah, remember that? That was fun. That was a good time. Whenever I think of DK Metcalf, how do I not think about JJ Arcega-Whiteside? Terry McLaurin. How do you not think about JJ Arcega-Whiteside? How do you not think of Mama there with the umbrella? My one takeaway from JJ Arcega-Whiteside, when I interviewed him a couple times, and I remember, what was it? It might have been an open training camp practice. I remember talking to him after, I think his first time, like, at the link. I think it was open training camp practice at the link. I don't think it was a preseason game. And I asked him about his experience. And he goes, that was my first time ever in an NFL stadium. It was pretty crazy. And I was like, what? Never played in an NFL stadium. And then, I was like, wait a minute. What was it? Or no, he didn't say play. He said being in. And I'm like, you never went to a game as a kid? He's like, no. I'm like, oh, never been in an NFL stadium. And then I went back and I was telling Mike Mulhern, who's a producer at NBC, I was like, he said it was the first time in an NFL stadium. And he's like, huh? And then he just even he's typing up to look up his college schedule and all that stuff, where the games were at and all that. And as he's typing, he goes, wait a minute, he was at the Combine, which is in an NFL stadium in Indianapolis. It's like, oh, okay, let's not run with that story. Can't get miles. Ooh, C Love. They didn't think we were a Super Bowl team until we smashed the Chiefs. Pin 9617. I believe AJ's infatuation with the Patriots was done when Brady departed. No way he'd want to go there, right? The fact that the Chiefs traded Thuney to the for a future fourth says a lot about him. Washed, yeah. Thuney was playing out of position, but he bounced out the tackle, I believe it was. Sixers Celtics would rather watch grass grow. Yeah, how sad is that? Sixers kind of shut it down for the year. They should shut it down for the year. Tyrese Maxey's dealing with a back injury. So, yeah, shut him down, please. Andy always got rid of guys at 30. Yeah, that was a banner rule. Need to keep Isaiah Rodgers, all right. Mr. Sandman, Slay is trying to be like LeBron James and play with his son in the NFL. That'd be hilarious. That's a long time coming. DJ, but you don't want to see Farzy angry. He turns into the Hulk, pretty much. I'm not an angry guy. I don't live life angry. As a young man, I had a bit of a temper. And as a older man, I got rid of that temper. It still lies in wait, but very rarely. Very rarely. And I don't let it out to strangers, because strangers will only see evil Mark. I only let the loved ones see the temper, because they know that I still love them. I'm not that bad. I'm not bad. I'm a nice guy. Respectful. I'm not nice. I'm respectful. That's what I am. Kyle, yes, I did see Bosa was released. We have thrown it out in the chat. It seems overwhelmingly no. And I'm with you. But I expect Howie to still kick the tires. It would be interesting to see him play in Philadelphia. After he hasn't had nice things to say. What else have we got? As far as the Jammers. Looking into Reddick. I'd love to see it. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are wonderful, as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush, brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Howie will do something else today, because that's just what Howie does. Maybe Milton Williams, maybe Mekhi Becton. I don't know. Maybe some guy I never heard of. I don't know. But that'll be today, probably, from Howie. So we'll see what happens with that. See if Howie keeps it going. Everybody has their day. Everybody has their day. So we'll follow that, of course. As I mentioned, Sixers and Celtics tonight. It really hurts my soul to say that, and really it has no vibe. It has no energy to it. But Sixers, Celtics tonight, 7:30. Yours truly will be on Locked On Sports Philadelphia for your Locked On 76ers postcast. So make sure you guys check me out there on Locked On Sports Philadelphia. Your Philadelphia, what the heck is going on here? Your Philadelphia Flyers looking to bounce back. Oh, that's how dare I? There's actually two things in the world of hockey that I want to make sure I mention. Alexander Ovechkin is now 10 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's record. I do declare. He had another goal last night. That is insane to me. Yeah, Flyers are back. They got the Winnipeg Jets again. That's right. They wrap around the Flames. They host the Jets tonight at 7 o'clock. As far as the NHL goes, I want to make sure I give you the right number, because that's just one of those things that 9 behind Gretzky now. 9 behind Gretzky. He has 885 goals in his career. I never thought that Gretzky record would be broken. Played in that era, played on that super team, the tiny goalie pads, playing as long as Gretzky did. I never thought it would be broken. And here we are. It's about to be broken. 9 goals behind Alexander Ovechkin's 9 goals from tying Wayne Gretzky, 10 from breaking it. So that is history, folks. That is history. And that concludes our longest hockey segment of the year. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. What will Howie do today? Talk to you guys tonight. On Locked On Sports Philadelphia after the Sixers take on the Celtics and get spanked, most likely. Here's how I feel about that game tonight. Ugh. Thank you. See you tomorrow.